Good evening again. Welcome to yet another exciting program. Tonight we have two distinguished Dominicans, two great Dominicans. A young man from the village of Campbell, and we have again. Let me start over again. Tonight we have two brilliant, two distinguished Dominicans, um, in the person of the director of public, public prosecutions, and also we have with us the assistant commissioner of police, acting from the wonderful village of Campbell. And they're so nicely attired tonight. I'm not sure if they're going somewhere after. But it's so nice to have you guys tonight. And we have Miss Dairampo, who is no stranger to us, but Mr. Maxime, Alan Maxime, I believe was a, a guest at some point on this program. Was it? I think was it? Was
Yes,
it?
2021.
2021. Yeah, and we have him tonight in a different capacity. That is, I'm so happy for him, a young man, who's doing good for himself. So tonight we shall be looking at the Firearms Act, and looking at it from a different from various perspectives. And so we have no better person who is well schooled in the area of law, a brilliant practitioner, that is, the director of public prosecution. What's happening to me tonight? And also we have the assistant commissioner of police, Mr. Maxime Acting. So let us start firstly with Mr. Maxime. Tell us something about yourself, sir.
Let me say good evening to the listeners. Good evening to as well to the hard-working police officers out there who are listening to us right now. Good evening, of course, to the villagers of Campbell, the area where I grew up. For those of you, I'm not too sure how many people are not familiar with me, because I am one of the so-called popular police officers out there. But those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm Alan Maxime. I have been serving in the force for the past 29 years. Worked in various stations, worked in the drug squad, the special branch, various units of the force over the past 29 years.
So from the wonderful community of Campbell, and I think is an inspiration for a number of young people, more so young men, who can actually take a copy from your page and actually emerge as well nurtured, well grown young men. And I hope that you can serve as an example, an inspiration for a number of young people and those in the Campbell community. A wonderful village, hardworking people, and good evening to those of you listening from Campbell and Dominica alike. So, give us a little background as to, I know you said you have been in the police force for 29 years, in terms of, by way of your training and the different areas you have worked. Do you want to give us just a little insight before we engage you beyond that point?
Oh well, I've worked in several departments in the police force. I started at the Roseau station, worked in the St. Joseph station, Marigot station, the special branch, the drug squad for many years, the special service unit. Really, I've been exposed to really every area in the police force. Have had exposure to several areas of training, operations, medical, just name it. I've been exposed to several areas of training as it relates to police work.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Ms. Dairampo.
Good night, Mr. Blackwell.
It doesn't hurt to say something about yourself again.
I wanted to say something else about Mr. Maxime. As of recent, he was at the training school. I went there to do one lecture, and I know he did a great job at the training school in respect of the new recruits we have out from the school. So I think he forgot that one. Myself, I am Shema Dalrymple, the Director of Public Prosecutions. I'm tasked with prosecuting all matters in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Specifically right now, my office has taken a mandate. It has been for the past 3 years in respect of the firearms matters, where we ask for custodial sentences at the court. Also, we are also taking very seriously the murders which occur as a result of firearms, the illegal use of firearms. As of recent, there was a matter which we reinstated, where it was not a firearm, but it was a fishing gun that was involved. So we take a very strict approach to firearms matters. I've been the Director of Public Prosecutions for about 5 years, and I love prosecuting. Sometimes I cannot see myself as an attorney at law doing anything else but prosecuting, because I believe it's good to give something back to your country. And also, although it's an area of law, prosecuting is an area that a lot of attorneys do not gravitate towards. But I believe at the end of the day, we play a critical role in the administration of justice, and in also seeing victims get justice before the court.
Yeah, prosecution sometimes can be very, strenuous.
Yes,
And
it
as
is.
rightly said, you have to do a lot of reading, because you have to prove your case, especially for criminal matters, beyond every reasonable doubt. You see? So it calls for a lot of hard work. But before we go into what we want to talk about here tonight, as you know, we have launched a program whereby, people can turn in the firearms without any fear of being prosecuted. I want to take this opportunity to really thank those who have thus far, who have seen it fit to surrender the illegal firearms. So up to today, somebody surrendered a 9mm caliber weapon with 4 rounds of ammunition to an inspector of police. On Tuesday, two people actually handed over 2 illegal pistols to some trusted member of the community. So to date, we have 3, and those are 3 illegal weapons that could have been used to commit some form of crimes, God forbid, murders. And so that is a step in the right direction. So my advice is to ask people to ensure that they do what is right, do the right thing, and to actually present the illegal firearms to the police at any police station in the country, or a trusted person who they know in their heart will actually surrender the firearms on the behalf, well sealed, properly sealed and concealed. So, what's your advice to members of the public as a police officer, Mr. Maxime?
Well, I want to join with you, Mr. Minister, in urging and making a plea to the public out there to surrender the firearms. You have an opportunity to surrender the firearms that you have without fear of being prosecuted, without fear of being arrested. So I'm urging the public, I'm urging the persons out there with illegal firearms to please surrender the firearms, because the repercussions will be serious. It can be serious. So you have an opportunity now to surrender the firearms. Please do so. The wider public, I'm urging you as well to join us in making that plea. The pastors, the priests, the community leaders, join us. It can't just be left for the government, for the minister, for the police, for the DPP. We are asking the civic minded persons out there to join us in making that plea to members of the public who are in possession of firearms to surrender those firearms to the police, to your priest, to somebody, some trusted person. Surrender the firearms.
Madam Director of Public Prosecution, good evening to you again. What's the advice to the people?
Well, I wholly support what Mr. Maxime has said, and I also wish to add that individuals who do not surrender and who are brought before the court will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, I urge the public to consider this. A bullet does not have someone's name on it. When there is the use of illegal firearms, we don't know who is going to be at the back of that gun. We don't know whose life that bullet is going to take. Someone may have a firearm at their home right now, and it may very well be that particular person who is on the other side of that firearm one day. It may be his father, it may be his mother, it may be his brother, his child, who falls fit to the use of that firearm. So I think we need to consider how society operates and how firearms offenses can affect everyone in society, not one person. It can affect everyone and anyone. So I urge members of the public to turn in the firearms. I'm very happy that people have already started taking advantage of the amnesty. With just the amnesty being announced just a few days ago, we already have recovered 3 firearms. I'm very happy that people have taken on the initiative and started to surrender these illegal firearms.
Yes, Madam DPP, let us start with you. Let us start with you right now. There's the perception that the Firearms Act in itself and the penalties contained therein are very, weak. They're not strong enough. They're not far-reaching enough. And what is your view as a practitioner, as someone who was standing before the magistrate, before the judge, on almost a daily basis for 5 years, and before that, you would have actually do a number of prosecution, assisting the DPP at the time. What's your view on that from a professional standpoint?
From a professional standpoint, I would say that the Firearms Act of the Commonwealth of Dominica is the most strict and stringent Firearms Act in the OCS at present. Our legislation, for example, the illegal possession of firearms, at summary level, someone can be given a custodial sentence of up to 5 years and a fine of up to $15,000 or both. Further, we have a section which deals with the prohibited weapons, and this section does not make provision for a non-custodial sentence. It speaks to a custodial sentence of 15 years. Also,
before you go any further, let us try to qualify that for the listening public. When you say prohibited, what do you mean? By the true spirit of the law itself, by way of definition.
Okay, by definition, it means that it is a weapon that when you place your finger on the trigger, it dispels bullets continuously. For example, a machine gun.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
These prohibited weapons you can be given where you're found in possession of one, because these weapons ought not to be in the hands of anyone, whether you have a license or not. It is your sentence can be up to 15 years imprisonment, and it does not make provision for a fine.
And so it's important. When you say custodial, what do you mean? You
can go to jail. You can be sent to jail.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's clear.
Yes.
Now, when you're making reference to the summary matters, what does the law say in instances where you have a second conviction or a second
Oh yes. Interesting. The legislation in respect of you having a second sentence. You've been convicted of a firearms offense under the Firearms Act once, and the individual is brought before the court again on an offense under the firearms legislation. You can be given up to 16 years imprisonment, and your fine can go up to $25,000 on your second offense. Now, another thing we ought to consider is that we have the sentencing guidelines for firearms matters coming from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and it makes provision for judges to deter from these sentences. That is, for them not to consider non-custodial sentences or the sentence that would be meted out based on the calculations and based on time served or an early guilty plea, to totally ignore the guidelines and go ahead and give a sentence out of the guidelines, showing the extreme of the matter. But they just have to give reasons when they do it.
Fine. And then, what are the circumstances that would lead a judge to actually depart from the sentencing guidelines?
My submission on that would be the situation that we have in Dominica right now. We have an escalation of the use of illegal firearms. We have most of our murders are firearms related.
Well, for this use of
yes.
only four.
Yes,
so
but in the past, it's a large ratio as compared to before when we had the use of cutlasses,
right,
rocks, and also the fact that we have innocent individuals falling victim to these offenses. We also have several shooting with intent matters and prosecuting several of them before the court. Usually the public speaks about the murders when somebody dies, but we have attempted murders with the use of firearms, and we also have several matters of shooting with intent and discharging of firearms, illegal firearms. And also, as of recent, I was told of a matter where a woman was threatened with a firearm. So all these circumstances, the fact that we've had these matters escalating, there is public outcry, public interest in these matters right now. These are reasons for a judicial officer to deter from the sentencing guidelines, to protect the system that we are in, to protect the administration of justice.
So, in other words, I think it's very interesting. It's getting very interesting now that the court has to take note as to what is going on in society.
Yes.
Because the court also has a responsibility to society.
To society.
Thank you. Okay, that's fair.
And I wish to repeat also, it's not only the murders. We have an escalation of the discharging of firearms, illegal discharging of firearms in public areas. We have threats with firearms. We also have the shooting with intent, where firearms are used.
That's very, very, very important. And thank you, Madam DPP. Now, let us go across to our second batsperson tonight. He's not playing for West Indies cricket, but what advice do you have to members of the public insofar as gun-related crimes are concerned, Mr. Maximin?
Well, what I'm gonna say here is that with these offenses, it has a spiral effect. It's not only going to affect the person doing the shooting or the person who is injured. It's going to affect us as a wider community. It's going to affect our community. It is said that the fear of death is worse than death itself, but the fear of crime is also worse than the crime itself, because here it is that one man commits an offense, he shoots after a man on the bayfront, but here it is that 100, 200 of us are fearful of going on the bayfront and enjoying ourselves and having a little moment of relaxation. So it has a spiral effect. Therefore, one offense is too much. It affects our children. It affects us.
So, what message do you have for our young people in that regard? Especially, I know you're also a pastor, especially young men and people, parents, etc. What role do you think they have to play in molding the minds of our young people?
Well, we parents have a significant role to play. I mean, we cannot just allow, especially our young men, we cannot just allow our young men keep our girls inside and allow our young boys to roam the street. They are going to be influenced wrongly if we take that approach. Therefore, I'm going to call on the parents to pay attention to our boys, pay attention to our young men. We cannot allow our young men, too many of our young men are just allowed to just go astray and be influenced by the wrong type of persons. So I'm calling on the parents to pay a little more attention to proper parenting. Pay attention especially to the boys. Do not keep the girls inside and allow the young boys to roam the street and do what they want. Because it's crippling our community, and if we don't take hold of it, it can cripple our lovely island, and we are not going to allow that to happen. We're not going to allow that to happen. Therefore, we as community persons, we as parents, we as community leaders have a significant role to play in guiding and being role models, proper role models to our young persons, especially our young men.
Okay, the reason why that is important, because simply embarking on a law enforcement intervention by itself not going to suffice in terms of a long-term solution. So we need to have other players complementing that effort. And the whole issue of how a young child is being socialized. It starts from primary socialization and further up, And I think what you just said there is key. But let us go back to Madam DPP. If you're in the room, you have most of the prominence there. Sometimes when you're talking about the matters that are being disposed of before the court. What you made reference to the first offense, or some simple summary offense under the Firearms Act. You made reference to the fine of $15,000 or the jail sentence. Can you specify the jail sentence, because it can be both? Can you specify?
Yes, 5 years at summary level.
And that'll be so if someone is charged.
First time offender,
and the law doesn't make a distinction between the ammunition or firearms. You're charged, and that's also very important for us to understand.
Yes, that's critical, because what happens is that the prosecution brings a charge for the firearm itself and also for the ammunition.
Right. Right.
So if you have a firearm with ammunition, you're going to get 2 charges.
Right. Okay. So you're saying that on a mere summary conviction, let us suppose hypothetically,
yes,
if one were to be found by the police with one firearm and some rounds of ammunition, the person has 2 charges. You're saying that the person on the first conviction can be fined $15,000 or 5 years imprisonment,
or both.
Or both.
Yes.
And the or both is important, because you can fine and still impose a jail sentence.
Yes.
But that seldom happens, and so we have to spell it out, because to try to set aside the notion that the law is weak. Yes, we are going to significantly improve on it, but of course, what currently obtains from your standpoint as a legal practitioner, standing prosecuting on behalf of the people, you're saying that you think it is stringent, and it's left for the court to apply the penalty or the sentencing to suit what is actually happening in society.
It is.
Yeah. So
Because as prosecution, Mr. Blackmore, we can only suggest, we can only take the court through the guidelines. The sentence is at the discretion of the judicial officer, be it the magistrate or the judge. So we have no control. We present our case, we obtain a conviction, but we have no control over sentencing.
Okay.
But we do urge judicial officers to consider the facts and circumstances in the public, in society. And so we at times urge to defer from the sentencing guidelines, but it is at the discretion of the judicial officer.
Okay. So somebody is charged a second time for another firearm. How many years can that person can be sentenced to?
The second time, that's subsection 7.5, subsection 7 of the Firearms Act. On the second time, you can be sentenced up to 25 years imprisonment for your second offense.
Okay, a second offense.
Yes.
Right, okay, all right. Okay, now let us go to a very important area, because we know, based on some of the information, Mr. Maxime, and some of the intelligence, some of the firearms are meant for some other market, and in a number of instances we have situations whereby people have been charged for trafficking. Is that so?
Yes.
Let us start from a police standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint. When does it actually become a situation where you believe, based on the evidence before you, it's a matter of trafficking?
All right. Trafficking really has to do with the importation. That is taking the firearms from one jurisdiction, taking the firearms, let's say from the US to Dominica, or export that is from Dominica to another jurisdiction. So it has two components. Either you take it, bring it into the island, or you take it from the island and bring it to another jurisdiction. This is what trafficking really entails.
Okay, so at what point, okay, Mrs. Madam DPP, there are instances I know in recent times you have started actually charging people for trafficking.
Yes.
And what has really caused that?
What caused that? Actually, since 2013, the section existed in the Firearms Act. That is Section 26.8 was an amendment that was passed since 2013. And this amendment speaks to someone being fined up to $500,000 and 25 years imprisonment or both. So this is a very serious offense. And why we started charging for firearms trafficking is that we noted that there were individuals who were being intercepted with more than one firearm, and based on the facts and circumstances of these matters, is either the firearms were being brought into the Commonwealth of Dominica or on their way to transit to neighboring islands. And this fit right into the scenario of trafficking in firearms, so we started charging for these offenses. We were no longer giving them the simple possession charges. To me, it went out of the realm of simple possession. Simple possession is being caught with one firearm, we don't have a valid license. Being caught with several firearms and ammunition, most times they're intercepted on the way, let's say they're intercepted on the way to Dominica at a port, at the Woodbridge Bay port, or they're intercepted on their way out at a beach in the night. So we started to charge for the trafficking in firearms.
And that matter is triable at the Supreme Court level?
Yes, it is triable at the Supreme Court level.
And I don't want, because you are the DPP, you're the ones preferring those charges. Well,
the police prefer
the police prefer the charges, but you're the one prosecuting those matters.
Yes.
But I believe, if you were to go back, I believe is the fine $700,000 or $500,000? I think it's $700,000.
Sorry, seven. Yes,
yeah,
7.
so
I said 5, but it's $700,000.
So you may want to refer.
Yes,
okay.
it's $700,000.
Right, so, and the reason why I am saying that is to give the public an understanding how far-reaching the current act is. So if you're convicted, So as we speak right now, in the current law itself, under Section 26A, which speaks to trafficking, because in a number of the instances there we have seen where the guns have been intercepted at the port. If somebody were to be charged, the person will be charged for trafficking.
We do have about
Yeah,
4 of these
four.
matters,
I'm aware of
live
that.
matters before the court.
Right. So, but which we don't want to talk about here tonight because
Yes.
the matters are live matters. But the fact is, the penalty, one, a fine of $700,000
25 years.
25 years imprisonment anywhere in the world is life.
Or both.
Or both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world, that's a life.
And Mr. Blackmore, I wish to also add that an attempt to commit the offense in our law is the same as committing the offense.
Yeah. But
So if someone attempts to bring in the firearms at the port and they're intercepted, they're stopped, or the firearms are on their way out of Dominica, but the individual is intercepted on the beach or in a vehicle with the firearms, we can still charge for the substantive offense, but it will be an attempt to commit trafficking in firearms, and you still get the same sentence.
well, it's interesting that you're saying that because sometimes people argue. I mean, the law does not make provision for attempts for an attempted offense. But I mean, but the fact is, once there's an offense, there's an attempt.
Yes.
Yes, and so I mean, so it doesn't matter if you try.
If you're trying.
If you're trying, once you're charged,
Yes, the Interpretation Act
Right.
speaks to attempts.
right?
Yes.
No, so to me that is far-reaching.
Yes, it is.
So I know that you have made some submission as to how the law can be strengthened in certain areas, and we're currently looking at that. We have Mr. Anthony Laron looking at the Firearms Act for us, so and to actually strengthen some of the sections there, so that someone will surely go to jail after that program, that amnesty program that we have. That is why I want to lament. I use the word lament because we are saying it so many times here tonight. To call on you, and if you know a friend, if you know someone, try to convince them to do the right thing, because it is time to really jam the brakes real hard. You got to jam it, because we don't. That this thing is not going to be allowed to get out of control. Dominica is the most peaceful country in this region, and in the region on a whole. We want to maintain that peace and that stability that we've enjoyed over the years. Yeah, so normally we do a lot of talking here. It's a very mellow program, and we do not really have much time to take a call. But if you want to call, and before we go, the number to call is 3284 and 448 3284 or 1-800-327. And there has been, as you know, a number of misinformation out there, Mr. Maxime, and then we come to Mr. Rample, that the police arbitrarily searching people, and some people speak about selective searchings, etc. What is your view on that, Mr. Maxime? If I were to say ACP.
Yes.
Well, first off, let me make it fundamentally clear that the police is not in the business of arbitrarily searching the citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. We know that every citizens have right, obviously, and that right we're not going to infringe on the rights of the citizens. We are going to perform our duty as per law.
Let's take a pause there.
Yeah.
Good evening there.
Hello, good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
It's so nice to have you here tonight. Do you have a question, or you want to?
A question. So I wanted to know if you're catched with an illegal gun, what is the charge?
Okay. She wanted to know if someone is actually found and charged with an illegal firearm. You spoke about it just now. What exactly is the charge?
How much years? If it's in prison or is it's a charge?
Yeah. You heard, Shema?
Yes, at the summary level, 5 years imprisonment, and the fine can go up to $15,000 or both.
Well, first charge.
For the first charge. The second charge, up to 15 years imprisonment and up to 25 years. 25 years imprisonment and $15,000 fine.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to take too long because I understand.
That's
But
cool.
just to let you know, on May the 26th, I was in High Court with a case where a man shot a family member of mine with a stray bullet. He was by the road and the guy was shooting, and a stray bullet took him. He passed. Anyway, the guy took 5 years prison. The case went to High Court in May, and nothing was said about that illegal gun in court. When I see how it was going, I ended up just talking to the judge. The judge told me, oh, I'm sure it's an illegal gun. Nothing, at that time in the court, I should learn if it was a licensed gun or an illegal gun. But nothing was mentioned in the court about that illegal gun. The case started on Monday, May 26th. We were sitting outside. I tell my mother, hold on, it may be the next matter that's taking place. At around after 12, from 9 o'clock in the morning to after 12, the state lawyer come and tell us we can go home because the guy pleaded guilty. We can come tomorrow for sentencing. When I see about 9:15, we were sitting outside the court. I say I'm going to open the door. When I talk to the officer at the door, he let us come in. The case was already going on. They never asked us to come in court. Like me, I say in the case called behind our back. When I talked to the judge in the court, you know what answer the judge gave me? If he has an illegal gun, he will use it to defend himself. That wasn't making sense. A judge tells me he's taking an illegal gun to defend himself.
Okay, so
No one mention of that illegal gun. The man was not charged for that illegal gun at all. So we have to tighten up. We have to set examples too. We want the public to help, but we have to set examples in the court so the public can help. Thank you very much.
okay. Yeah, it is there. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your call. Miss Darampo, as you know that your role and the role of the police is to investigate, and if there's evidence, and to prefer a charge, and that is further actually examined by you to see whether this case has the merit, and to be taken before the court. Now, in a case like that, what charges would have been preferred against the individual?
Shooting with intent,
Yes.
Mr. Blackmore. I actually know of the matter that the caller is speaking of. The judicial officer in that matter expunged a lot of the evidence, and that was said to the witness who came. The prosecution, as I said, the prosecution does not control the judiciary. The most we can do is submit our case before the court, and the judiciary makes certain decisions in respect of that particular matter on the evidence, and that we ought not to call certain evidence before the court.
Thank you very much. Okay.
But I fully agree with what the caller said, that I don't think those statements were appropriate towards a victim in a matter, and a victim coming in respect of a firearms-related offense. That is why I said earlier on, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has taken a certain stance in respect of these matters. As of recent, we prosecuted a murder that was thrown out by the High Court judge, and we immediately appealed that particular murder. It was a firearms-related murder, and we immediately appealed that murder. That murder is before the Court of Appeal right now. And that is part of the stance we're taking. The state hardly appealed matters, and now we've taken that stance that as long as it's a firearms-related matter, we want it before the jury, and we want the victims to get justice.
Because the thing is, in a number of cases, when you have matters that are indictable, those are matters that are actually heard before the Supreme Court or the High Court, as we normally say in Dominica. That would have gone through a process of, we call it a PI, a preliminary inquiry, before the magistrate court, where the court will decide whether, based on the evidence that they have heard or presented, if you have a paper committal approach to it, where both sides agree, whether there is enough evidence for someone to be made to answer, and then the matter is actually sent to the High Court, in cases that you have people making no case submission at the magistrate court level, and so it's not a situation whereby it's a wash your foot and come. So there's a certain degree of filtering that takes place before it goes to the Supreme Court level, and we have a trial by jury in Dominica, and that is why I want to agree with you. In instances where you have matters that have serious implication for the public interest, and where you believe as the DPP that there's enough evidence to support, someone to be made to be tried before a judge and jury, I think there's of course credence in what you have done in defense of the people of this country. There's going back to the question that I asked of you, Mr. Maxime, in terms of some people speak about arbitrary searches and police don't have a right to stop people and search people and etc. How do you explain that? What's your view on that? I know that is not the case, but you are the one here tonight, and I want to give an opportunity to actually clear the air on that. From a police perspective, so to speak.
Mr. Before we got the call, I was at the point where I was saying that the police respects the rights of every citizen. However, I will say here now that under the Drug Act and under the Firearms Act, the law gives us the right and the authority, upon having probable and reasonable cause to believe that someone might be in possession of a firearm or any drug on their vehicle or on their person. The law gives us the right to stop, search any vehicle, and any person who we have reasonable grounds to believe or probable grounds to believe that the person might be in possession of a firearm. With the police is mandated. The police has a mandate to uphold the law, and that is exactly what we're going to do. We're not going to fall short of doing that. There's a situation out there that we need to curb, and we are going to search vehicles, and we are going to search persons whom we believe having reasonable grounds to believe that the persons might be in possession of firearms and drugs. The law under the Act, under the Firearms Act and the Drug Act, gives us the authority to do that.
Madam DPP, I'm going to give you, of course, you're saying this one also.
Okay. Mr. Maxime went into the law. He's quite correct. In respect of firearms, Section 44 of the Firearms Act gives the police officers the power to search any vehicle in which he suspects any firearm or ammunition is being conveyed, and may search the driver and any person in the vehicle. So it does not even speak to only the vehicle. It speaks to the driver and any other person in the vehicle. Now, a very interesting part of Section 44 is that it also creates an offense where individuals obstruct the police officers, intimidate the police officers while they're carrying out this search.
No, I wanted to go over that because that's a point I've been making all the time, and because a lot of us speak, and we speak within our minds and within ourselves, and we speak about the law as to how we think the law ought to be and not what the law actually is. And so I wanted to go over that obstruction because I'm very much concerned about that, because in my days that was not allowed to happen.
Okay. Firstly, the Section 44 speaks to three circumstances. One, a driver shall not fail to stop the vehicle. When the driver fails to stop the vehicle, he can be charged. And after I go through them, I'll give the penalty and the fine. The next scenario, a passenger in a vehicle shall not intimidate the driver so as to prevent the driver from stopping.
Sorry, Madam DPP, sorry, I don't want to disturb you. Someone is asking what is the number to call. So you can call 448-3284 or 1-800-327. Yeah.
And the driver or passenger shall not escape or attempt to escape from a vehicle referred to in that section. Any person who contravenes these sections is guilty of an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding $10,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or both. So besides the law giving police officers the power to search vehicles, it also creates offenses in respect to the way an individual whose vehicle is being searched, how he reacts with the police officers and also individuals on the vehicle. Also, if you try to escape custody or try to avoid the search, you can also be charged.
Thank you very much, because I think that is so important and that has to be underscored, because we're right now at the point where we need to ensure that everybody understands their rights and the authority of the police, and that they have to give something. We cannot be concerned about a potential national crisis and not wanting the police to do what the police ought to do and have to do in order to clamp down and to stamp out that potential threat. And so it's important for us to over and over repeat what you have just said, so that people sometimes like to copycat. They hear somebody's doing something, they see someone is doing something, so they simply join in the party. Good night to you, live on the #1 station, DBS Radio. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Maximus.
Yes. Let's go.
Okay. I'm just trying to find some clarification as it relates to the searching of vehicles. You said there's some provisions made under the Firearms Act and the Drug Act, right?
Yes.
Is there anything that is done under any other law? Can it contradict what is said in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica?
What section of because the Constitution you're speaking about? Okay, Section 7. Section 7 protects one's right to privacy, and of course prohibits. Listen, please. Prohibits arbitrary searches, but it provides a facility to allow the police to do the work. And Section 3 also gives the police the authority to arrest somebody on suspicion and to keep you, is not so, for 3 days before you're actually charged. And you must be charged, or if you're not charged, you have to be released. Of course, it has to be based on reasonable suspicion. You get my point? So the Constitution itself provides the police with the authority to do its work.
Yes, I'm not saying no. What I'm trying to find clarification for is when we speak about the police stopping and searching vehicles, and I heard Mr. Maxime explain that there should be some form of suspicion or some intent, right?
Yes.
It should be some
reasonable,
articulable suspicion, right?
Yes. But let's get it right. The same Constitution actually provides for laws, to be enacted in Parliament, and for the protection of public peace and public peace and law and order, etc. Different things. The same Constitution to give the police the right to arrest you on suspicion. You also have a right you have a right not to be deprived of your liberty. Isn't that so?
Right, but
yes.
Mr. Blackmore, is suspicion a crime? Suspicion is not a crime.
Let me just let me just give you a joke. There's a matter. If the police arrest you for on suspicion, or the police were to stop you based on suspicion, and you have a concern, you take it to the court. Isn't that so? We have a situation, a Martin and Funny Matter situation in 2012, where he was arrested. Somebody was arrested on suspicion for drugs. It was challenged. The authority of the police was challenged. It went to the court. The court ruled that the police was right. The police was justified in so doing. Okay. The court went further to clarify the whole issue of wrongful arrest and false imprisonment. And therefore, if the police acted within the spirit of the law and arrest you on suspicion, and the cause was reasonable, and the suspicion was reasonable, the arrest cannot be it cannot be false imprisonment. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that was
Okay.
so you have listen. So you have case law, and and the police also have a right on the common law. Okay, on the common law to arrest anybody on suspicion and to search anybody to arrest anybody without a warrant and so on suspicion and to search anybody and with reasonable and probable cause. Okay, not only under the, not only under the Drug Prevention Act and the Firearms Act. You can go under the Police Act. The Police Act, and I want to refer to Section 12, and before Section 12 you have Section 11, right? That gives the police the authority throughout the country. It includes bays, inlets, it includes public buildings. It includes the police have a right, having reasonable cause, to board any boat. You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? So let me try to assist you further. The police has a right, if you have a party at your home, and it's open to the public, the public has to pay a fee to come in. The police on duty can come and put order in the place. Do you understand what I'm saying? If the police can come to your house and arrest someone without a warrant, if the police have a reasonable cause that an offense is being committed. If you hear somebody screaming for help in the house, he has a right to come in, to actually investigate. If he's chasing somebody in hot pursuit, a felon, and the person runs under someone's bed in the house, the police have a right to come to extract that person and arrest that person. So let us have an understanding. The police cannot arbitrarily do things, but the police have a fundamental responsibility to preserve public peace and to maintain law and order. Okay.
Okay. Well, just
Thank you.
one final.
And I'll leave it to Miss. I'll leave it to Miss I almost say Mistress or Miss Madam DPP, Miss Sherman, to say something further.
Also in respect of
what-
section.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also in respect of section 7 of the Constitution, this right is not an absolute right.
I just
This right makes provision for laws to be passed for the defense for public safety. So it's not an absolute right. You cannot say carte blanche that you cannot be subject to search. And as Mr. Maxime rightfully said earlier on, it's not an arbitrary search. It's a search which is sanctioned by law.
Okay, but one question, one final question, Madam DPP. In as it relates to, let's say, the searches, should the officer conducting the search, should he, if there is reasonable suspicion, should the officer indicate to the driver? Does it make sense for the officer in question to somewhat state what is the reasonable suspicion that he has in conducting the search?
Repeat that.
Hello?
He's asking whether the officer should not give a reason why the search is being done.
No. This only comes into play if there is a claim brought against the police officer for that search. But in respect, he says that he has reasonable suspicion to believe. The police officer knows what he has grounded his reasonable suspicion on, and he conducts his search. In circumstances where the police officer is being taken to task, in giving his defense, he would say what he grounded his reasonable suspicion on.
Okay. All right. And finally, before I leave, let's suppose I'm driving to Roseau and the police officers are driving to Portsmouth, and the officers heading to Portsmouth will just swing into the left lane, which will be my lane heading to Roseau, and just intercept my vehicle and step out of their vehicles and said, well, they're conducting search for firearms and ammunition. Would I be wrong to tell the officers I do not have any of these in my possession and I'm not consenting to a search?
Would you be wrong in telling the police officer that you don't have any firearm and they're not searching your vehicle?
Yes, of
No, I
course.
didn't say they are not searching my vehicle. I said I do not have any firearms or any drugs that I'm not consenting to a search.
Well, the law doesn't speak to the search having to be consented for. If they go in pursuant to the Drug Act or to pursuant to the Firearms Act, your consent is not required.
Oh,
So does that state that the Constitution is null and void? It's because if the Constitution in Section 7 says, except with his own consent, a person shall not be subject to the search of his personal property or entry by others on his premises.
no, can you,
Does that mean that
sir? I mean, we have a nice discussion about when you read in that section. Go a little lower down now, and
Yeah,
read
but
the whole thing
there's
now.
nothing done under any other law shall
Okay.
be set in contravention to this law.
Okay, what does that mean to you?
But it simply means that if there's any other law that you are executing, it should not contradict what it says.
Yeah, but no, yeah, you're right. But what is the provision that's provided there is a
Next
facility that allows Parliament to pass laws to preserve the items that are catalogued in what you just read. It is say something like public morality. It is talk about
Public safety,
public safety,
order,
public order,
public
right?
morality,
All right.
public health.
And public health.
Okay.
So you have to read those things. So there are laws, okay, that speaks to that, and that is where the laws would have gotten the power from the Constitution. You see, and we have not even spoken about the Criminal Law and Procedure Act. All right, we have not spoken about that. You are right, and I mean typically, the police needs a warrant to search somebody's private premises typically. But there's an exception made for when the police have reasonable cause to believe that a crime has been committed or you're carrying something that is illicit. Do you get my point? And you may want to read Part 2 of the Act and does make reference to, and read Section 12, Subsection 5, Subsection 6 and 7, and you get an appreciation as to what I'm talking about. All right. So, but nice interaction there. My advice to you, let me ask you a question before you go though, sir.
Sure.
Are you concerned about the potential escalation of this gun violence in Dominica? Right. And would you like
any right-thinking citizen would be concerned about those things.
Okay, and
But,
would you like the police to do something about it?
Yeah, I think the approach of the police sometimes is too aggressive. It's wrong.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say wrong, but sometimes it's too aggressive. So
Okay.
I think there should be